Well, let's go to Queensland now and catch up with Sal Grover. She's the founder of Giggle, a female-only social network. Thanks for joining us, Sal. You've been campaigning on these issues for a long while. It seems so obvious, it seems so logical, but we could see from that report the elation in the courtroom. It's a momentous victory for people trying to protect the rights of women and girls.
100%. I mean, when you have been in this space for such a long time, I've been doing it for 5 years, and there's been women who've been doing it for far longer than I have, where you are literally just saying that men are not women, and you have to go to the extent of the Supreme Court, or in Australia, the Federal Court, and the expense of that, and to finally have someone say, yeah, men are not women. I can't even describe the feeling of just finally hearing one powerful institution actually confirm reality. It's so welcome, and it just makes you incredibly hopeful, not only just for obviously for women's rights, but I'm very hopeful that people who are watching will start to maybe engage with the issue a little bit more if they haven't been, and actually understand what has been at stake here, and that it's never been about hate. It's never been about any kind of phobia. It has literally been about the fact that there is a truth and there is a reality, and that there is one, you cannot have a demographic of people just take away the rights of another demographic of people. That's not how human rights work.
Yeah, well, it's so important in defending the rights of people who otherwise would be disadvantaged. Now, the sport is an issue we've looked at in the past, but this case, the genesis of this case, demonstrates the point precisely, right? Because the government in Scotland has these quotas. We're all familiar with gender quotas. You don't want 50% of women in Parliament or 50% of women on major boards or whatever. And they were looking to count trans women in the women's quota. In other words, biological men who, because they identify as women, were helping to make up these quotas. So quite clearly in a case like that, you're undermining the rights of women. You're taking away their chance to fill those quotas by people who identify only as women. So it's very important that the consequences of this in so many spheres, isn't it?
100%. I mean, obviously, I come at this from a women's rights perspective and female-only spaces. It's how I was brought into it. But I do think it's important to stress it really isn't just women's rights. Men have the right to single-sex spaces as well, and men also have the right to say, that's a man. And if you are putting it in law that men can be women or women can be men, and then you have to agree with that out of fear of punishment, it means that everyone else in society is giving up some of our most basic freedoms, our most basic rights, in order to validate some very, very delusional people. So this is a common sense decision that has happened today that hopefully will ripple through the rest of the Commonwealth, because both, say, Canada and Australia, I would argue, are two of the most captured countries in the world. Yep. How the law is in Australia at the moment. I mean, Albanese is constantly going on about how he has so many women in his government, but it's the Labor government who took out the definition of women in the Sex Discrimination Act, and he could have 1,000 men in his government claiming to be women, and he would have no choice but to sit there and say that there is equality. That's how stupid it actually is.
Now, just briefly, you're campaigning against gender-neutral toilets in public schools in this country as well. Is that for the same sorts of reasons?
100%. I mean, single-sex spaces, especially for toilets and change rooms and things like that, actually exist for a reason. It wasn't just for fun or for any kind of validation. It actually is about safety, privacy, and dignity. In other parts of the world, especially in the developing world, where they want to get girls into education, they are building more female-only facilities to ensure that happens, because the data is in. Women need female-only spaces for safety. And boys need it for dignity as well. Men and women, boys and girls are different. We need things for different reasons. At the moment, in schools where there are only gender-neutral bathrooms, you're hearing this in Australia, in the UK, girls aren't going to the bathroom during the school day. This is dangerous.
Yeah, what a shocking situation.
No one wants this. Men don't want to have gender-neutral spaces where women and young girls can be in there while they're doing their thing, like a decent man who's never to be in that position. So none of this works for anyone, and it is time for Australia to get with the program, because we are being left behind on this issue.
Absolutely. It's all a matter of common sense. Thanks so much for joining us, Sal. Sal Grover there, who's been a fantastic campaigner on these issues and now a beacon of light, has been lit up by the Supreme Court in the UK.